Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's CAS XBRL webinar. I hope everyone can hear me properly. If not, we have Jennifer and Roger that will be able to help you with any issues that you have on your end. So my name's Anna, and I'm the CAS Desktop Product Manager at BGL Corporate Solutions, and I'll be going through the webinar for today. First things first, I'm just going to go through some of the housekeeping that we need to do for each webinar. At the moment, all the participants are currently on mute mode. If you do have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to enter it into the Q&A box below, and I'll be able to help you out with any of the questions that you have. If I don't get to them at the end of the session, we do have time to do any Q&As, and I'll be able to answer it then and there as well. Alrighty, so let's get started. So this is a 1-hour webinar about XBRL that we have in CAS Desktop. So the agenda for today that I'm going to go through is first off the XBRL Taxonomy that will be taken into effect on the 1st of May 2021. I'll be showing you through any features that we have within our CAS XBRL tool, as well as show you all the XBRL that we have in store for CAS 360. So this is very exciting things that we have in store for you when you do migrate over to our cloud product. Alrighty, so with the XBRL taxonomy for 2020, this was announced by ACRA to be taken into effect on the 1st of January 2021. However, because of the pandemic, it has now been pushed to the 1st of May 2021. So all companies have the option to file the current XBRL filing requirements or the revised XBRL filing requirements. So with the key changes to the XBRL filing requirements that we have, excuse me for a minute. Sorry about that. So with the key changes to the XBRL filing requirements, so this is something that, that the users of XBRL has been mentioned to the ACRA team. So first off is to streamline the extent of XBRL filing financial statements. So what this means is to remove the data elements not commonly used. So for example, the earnings per share, as well as introduce the simplified XBRL filing requirement for smaller companies. And I'll explain a little bit about the smaller companies a bit later and a bit about the simplified XBRL as well. Secondly is to enhance the value of XBRL data by making data more standardized and complete. If you are aware in XBRL, currently in the full XBRL, users will need to enter in all the details of the income statement as well as the balance sheet. But for any other types of XBRL filing, you don't need to. It's just a small chunk of the income statement and the balance sheet. However, to make it more standardized and to make it more complete across all XBRL filing types, we're going to need to enter in the entire income statement and balance sheet. And thirdly is to make filing more seamless. And this is what ACRA has been mentioning quite often recently in terms of seamless filing with ACRA. This is to do with XBRL as well as the annual returns, is to streamline the business rules. And this is to minimize the need to apply for any exemptions from any of those business rules. So exemptions will be less likely than normal than before. And to use the APIs to validate and upload the XBRL financial statements. So this is what we're currently working on with CAS 360, is to allow users to validate as well as upload the XBRL file directly from CAS 360 without entering it into or uploading it directly from anywhere else. So here is a summary of the filing requirements for each type of company. So you can see here for the type of company number 1, 2, and 4, this is not bolded, so there is no changes to these types of companies and their filing requirements for XBRL. However, for number 3, for Singapore companies preparing the financial statements using accounting standards other than the Singapore accounting standards and IFRS, you can see under the current column that those types of companies will need to generate a financial statement highlight, as well as upload the financial statements in a PDF format when they lodge the annual return. However, in this case, for under the revised filing requirements, they don't need to generate the financial statements highlights anymore. They'll just need to attach the financial statements in the PDF format directly with the annual return. For companies under number 5 and 6, this is really dependent on the size of the company as well. So for Singapore companies that are solvent, exempt private companies, currently they're not required to file the financial statements. However, they can choose to, whether it be a PDF format or in an XBRL format. So in this case, nowadays, after the 1st of May, it's very similar. However, if they choose to voluntarily file the financial statements in an XBRL format, it is based on the size of the company, whether the company is a small company or not. And this is very similar to all other Singapore companies as well. And before I move on to the next slide, however, I just wanted to talk to you about the smaller company and what it means to be a small company. So a small company refers to a company whose revenue and total assets for the current financial year do not exceed 500,000 Singapore dollars. So that includes 500 and exceeds 500,000. So this kind of assessment of the revenue and total assets is based on the financial statements that are required to be prepared under the Companies Act. So you will need to make that determination and determine whether the revenue and total assets for that company exceeds 500,000 or not, and that's when it will determine whether that company is a small company. You can see here in the XBRL templates with the current and revised changes that we have in this table here, you'll see there is quite a big difference in terms of the data elements for each XBRL type. So with the full XBRL under the current filing requirements, there are around 410 data elements, whereas in the revised changes, it is now decreased to 210 data elements, which will make it easier for you as the person that is generating the XBRL file to enter the values in. And also you can see that there is an additional XBRL type called the simplified XBRL, which only has 120 data elements. So I'll be able to show you some of these data elements later in our XBRL tool. Okay, so now I'm going to jump over to our CAS Desktop. And here I'm going to show you a bit of a demo of our product that we have. And I hope you can see the screen here. If not, please let me know in the Q&A. So at the moment, I have on screen is my CAS Desktop screen for annual returns and documents. So first off, what you need to do is you need to select a company that you want to generate the XBRL for. Go into annual documents at the top of the screen. Click on annual return and documents. And in here, you'll need to have a financial year end entered in. Once you've done that, on the right-hand side, click on ACRA XBRL, and this will take you to the XBRL tool. So this is not another tool that you need to download and install. This is already within CAS Desktop. So now that you have that up and running, what you can do is either click on New to generate a new XBRL tool, or you click on Open to open an existing XBRL file. So here I'm going to click on New. The good thing about our tool is that most of the information under filing information is already stored within CAS Desktop. So in order for you to enter all the information in, you don't really need to, because all that information is transferred directly from CAS Desktop into the filing information screen. So it saves you a lot of time, doing any data entry for the filing information screen itself. So we've got the name of the company, the unique entity number, which is the UEN, and we have determined the current period start date and end date based on the financial year end date that you've entered previously in the CAS screen. Additionally, for the filing information, we've also transferred the information of the activities as well as the principal place of business. So everything else that we have on here is set by default. So it is up to you, the person who is generating the XBRL file, to ensure that the type of filing, the nature of financial statements, and so forth is correct for this type of company. So to show you a little bit about the revised filing requirements, if you click on the drop-down box under type of XBRL filing, you'll be able to see here that we've included full XBRL, simplified XBRL, financial statement highlights for banks and finance companies, and FSH for registered insurers. So at the moment it's defaulted to full XBRL. If you want to update it and change it to simplified XBRL, you just need to click on the drop-down box and select simplified. Once you select that, you need to click on the tab key, and here you will need to either click on yes or no to confirm the changes. The reason why we add that layer of security is to ensure that if anything does happen and you misclick anything within the filing information screen, it doesn't remove or it doesn't update the reports on the left-hand side and remove all the data entry that you've previously done. So let's just say you accidentally selected the nature of financial statements as consolidated or company level, right? So nothing will happen if you just select it. If you click on the tab key and click on yes, then it will make those changes. So you need to remember that you need to click on the tab key and confirm that change within the filing information screen if you want to make any changes on this screen here. There are a few things in this screen as well where it's not editable. The reason we don't want you to edit this is because we want it to be directly taken from the CAS Desktop database. However, we're not making it stagnant, and we're wanting to allow you to make those changes if necessary. So here to make those changes, just click on the edit icon at the top. And once you click on the edit icon, it should be able to allow you to edit those details there. But we do prefer you to edit those details in CAS Desktop, not within this screen. All right, so that's the filing information screen. As you can see, when I changed the type of XBRL filing, the reports on the left-hand side of the screen also changed as well. So you see here with the type of filing, XBRL filing, full XBRL, we have all the statements, disclosures, as well as notes. But if you notice from the current XBRL filing, there were much more reports that you needed to enter in. Now there are less notes and statements to enter in. So previously there were 11 notes for full XBRL, now there's only 9 notes. And not all 9 notes are mandatory. So you can see any mandatory notes that you need to enter in or enter any data in is highlighted in bold. So you'll be able to know which ones you need to generate or you need to file. Anything that is not bold is not necessary to be entered in. If you want to, you can perfectly do so. So to enable to get to those statements or those reports, you just need to click on the name and that will take you directly to that screen. So you don't have to click on next at the bottom of the screen to get to where you need to go or which screen you want to be in. So with the full set of financial statements, this is only required for full XBRL. If I were to select simplified XBRL, you no longer need to attach those financial statements. So you can see here that financial statements has now gone. So you can see with simplified XBRL, it actually makes it so much easier for smaller companies to lodge their XBRL financial statements with ACRA because of the amount of data elements that is required is now less. We don't need to enter in too much information. However, the two statements that are required are the financial statement of financial position, which is the balance sheet, as well as the income statement. And those are the two that are the main ones. Also, with the notes, there are only 3 notes compared to the 9 notes for full XBRL. All right, so the next thing I want to show you also is within the statement of financial position. So as an accountant, I know that assets and liabilities would need to equal the equity, right? Owner's equity. So the balance sheet will always need to balance in order to be correct. So let's just say that you're entering data in manually and you're grabbing the financial statements that you have on your table and you're starting to enter and key in some information. Here I've entered in $100 for cash and bank balances. You can see at the bottom of the screen here is an out of balance amount. So this would give you a proper indication, like a real-time indication of where the issue is and what's out of balance for you to fix. So let's just say that, okay, I have $100 and it's out of balance, or I need to make it equal. So I'm going to enter in, I know that there is trade and other payables that is also $100. So that has fixed my issue. Yeah. So before you even validate the statement of financial position, the CAS XBRL tool can give you that indication of the out of balance amount beforehand, so you can fix it up before validating. On this screen here, you'll also see that there is an Add Note button next to certain labels. So this gives you an opportunity to add in the note for that particular label without having to click on to the notes on the left-hand side of the screen. So here I click on Add Note, and it will take me directly to the screen to add in the information for that particular note here. Once you enter in all the information and you want to go back to the statement of financial position or go back to the previous report you were in, just click on Previous Report, and here it will take you back to that screen that you were in before. In this screen here and in many screens that we have within these reports, there are some grayed out area. This indicates that you cannot edit these individual fields, and these fields are auto-calculated for you. So it'll auto-calculate all the totals that you need to enter in. So here, let's just say I enter in 200 for trade and other receivables, and you can see here, the total assets has already been updated to 300. So we want to make this more easier for you if you enter in the data manually. In addition to this, when you click out of the screen and go to a different statement or a different note and come back in, you will see that it is saved automatically. So you don't need to go and click on the save icon each time you get out of this particular note or statement. Additionally, you can also click on print, and this will take a print screen or a print out of this particular statement or report. All right, the next thing I wanted to show you is how you would do it automatically without manually entering the information one by one through each field. So in CAS XBRL, we have something called the import tool. And this allows you to import financial statements directly from a Word document or from an Excel document. So here I'm going to go into filing information and I'll just select full XBRL and work on this one. Okay, so let's just say I have financial statements for a company called ABC Financial Statements in a Word document here. And I want to input all the values that I have here into the XBRL format. So in order to do that, go into the import tool at the top and then click on import. And here you'll be able to see that there is a box on the right hand side, and it'll allow you to drag and drop any source tables. So I've got a table already on Microsoft Word, which is the statement of financial position. And I've got the details here already. So what I need to do is I just need to copy the table and Control C. And then I'll just Control V to paste it in here. And what CAS does is that it reads the tables and determines which labels match with which statement or note within each ELR. So we can see here under matching reports, we already have one particular field name called share capital already matching with what we have within CAS XBRL, which is share capital under equity. So in order to import this one, you just need to click on Import All, click OK, and then it will import directly into that statement. So we've got the share capital, we've got the notes, and we've got the values for the current financial year and the prior period as well. So what can we do with all these ones that doesn't match? Right? It doesn't match exactly with the labels that we have in the XBRL taxonomy. So here what you need to do is you need to click on the label and you need to drag it towards the labels that are in the screen that we have. Once you drag it over, you need to drop it, and what we'll do is that it will drag across the whole row into the rows that we have here. The reason why it is showing in red is to determine whether you've auto-imported or you've manually imported. Manually being drag and drop. So I can pretty much do the rest of it. I can cash and cash equivalents. I know that it is cash and bank balances, so I can drop it there. And then I can continue on and do the rest of it until everything is balanced. So I've got trade and other receivables. Trade and other payables is under liabilities. And income tax payable also in liabilities. So I can drop it over if I can find it. And that's it. So you can see that my out of balance is no longer there. So I know that I've done it correctly and the balance sheet now balances. The reason why I didn't drag over net current assets is because the total assets that I have here, or even above here, the total current assets, is already auto-populated for me. So if I go into here, total equity, it equals the net current assets. Let's just say that you do something incorrectly and you want to undo the import. You just need to click on undo import and that will just remove all the imports that have been done for this particular report. If, for example, you do a blunder as well and then you import it just to the certain fields, what it does is that it will just drag over one value only. All right, so this is incorrect. So if you want to drag over the entire row, you need to drag it all the way to the actual label itself. So normally you would only need to drag and drop once for each company. Because the next time that you work on the XBRL file for the same company, what you can do is load in the company label template, and the import routine will take less time than what we've done now. So I'll give you an example and I'll show you this as well. So let's pretend that I've finished the XBRL file for this company. And you can see here when I drag and drop the rows from each table, it actually saved our company labels as well. So what I can do here once I've finished the XBRL file is I can save the company label template and use this the next time I generate the XBRL file for this company. Additionally, there are many companies that use the same accountant or the same auditor, and they use the same labels each time they generate the financial statements. So you can save this label under an accountant or under an auditor or under a company. So here I'll just save it under the company, Singapore PTE Ltd, and click on save. So now that the company label is saved, the next time I come in, I'll just load that label and do the import. So I'll just show you that. I'll clear everything on my screen and start all over again. Click on Import Tools, click on Load Company Label Template, and find the template that I've previously saved, which is Singapore PTE Ltd. So you can see here, if I go into the statement of financial position, the cash and bank balances and so forth, all those labels are now shown here. So now I'll go to the import tool and open that up and then paste the same table that we've previously used. You'll be able to see under matching reports, all those labels that are currently under the company label is now being matched directly to this report. So all I need to do is click on Import All, click on OK to confirm. And as you can see, simple enough, all the values have been dragged across and implemented into this particular statement here. So this includes the note as well. So how simple is that? When we did the drag and drop, it took us probably about 2-3 minutes, but when we did when we saved the company label, loaded it in, and then dragged and dropped the table in, it just took us about 10 seconds or so forth. So the initial stage of entering the company labels for each company is what is a bit more time consuming, but after you save the company labels, then the process is much more quicker. So another thing I want to show you as well is that we can load in a template or a table that is a portrait style table, which means that a column is a current year and another column is a prior year. We can also load in a table that has 4 columns, which is a consolidated version. So if I go into consolidated here, click on the statement of financial position. Here we can have like 2 labels, 4 columns, my apologies. And I can drag and drop a financial statement that is also consolidated, and that will work perfectly fine. But let's just say that we have a note or we have a financial statement that doesn't have these year columns shown here. So an example would be property, plant and equipment. This type of report or this type of note is what we call a landscape report, which shows us quite a few different types of columns right? And it is dependent on the type of company and what is within that company that will determine what you need to display per each column. So an example would be for this company, we know that under property, plant and equipment, there are only 3 items, right? There is land and buildings, motor and other vehicles, and other property, plant and equipment. So all the other things that we have displayed here is not necessarily required for this company. So we can just click on the tick boxes and to remove those ticks, and then click on the tick icon. And you can see here, the screen has changed to implement those 3 columns only. So to show you again, you just need to click on Show Hide Columns. And here, this is where you need to make that edit to display the columns that you need. Additionally, let's just say that within your table, within your financial statements, motor vehicles is displayed before land and building. So all you need to do is you can click on the motor and other vehicles and click on the up and down arrows that we have on the top of this modal, and that will change the display of the columns. So once we've selected the columns that we need for this type of report, we can just simply do the import routine again. So here I'll load another company label template that I've had previously. So I'll go into PPE manual, click on yes. And in here, I've already got my labels set up. Once I've set up the columns that I need, I'll just click on the import tool. I'll open up the Word document or Excel spreadsheet, copy those columns that I need. I don't need the total column, I just need those 3 fields, and then I'll paste. And an error will pop up. Here it says unable to find financial information. The reason being is because, as I mentioned before, this particular report is called a manual report, right? So it means that there are a number of columns that can be customized. To import from that one, you need to change the type of source document. So anything that is in portrait landscape where the columns are based on the current and prior periods is called auto tag tables. If there are manual landscape tables, then you need to change it to manual tables here. Once you change it to manual tables, then you can load that particular report in. Beautiful. So you can see under this report, we've got everything that is matched under property, plant and equipment. However, in the note for intangible assets, it also has the same particular label, but we don't want to import that into that one. So we can just right click and click on Remove Match Report. So now that I've set everything up, what I need to do is select the period that it needs to be imported in as. So we can either do current company, current group, or prior group, because this is a consolidated company. So here I'm just going to do, let's do group, current group, and I'll click on Import All. You can see here under Group 2021 that all that information that we have had dragged into the import tool has been imported across. So we've got a question here. Will the import undo all the imported data? So the short answer is yes. So let's just say that I've copied this across. And then let's just say I remove all the matched elements, right? And then I just drag this across manually. So I've dragged 2 things across manually, but I know that I've done something wrong. So if I click on Undo Import, what it'll do is that it will just remove those 2 lines that I just previously imported. right? The ones that I've imported already will still be there, but the ones that are imported with this particular table that I just did now will no longer be there. All right, so I've shown you the auto import tool as well as the manual import tool. All right, the next thing I want to show you also is the trial balance. So I'm not going to show you too much about it, but I just wanted to let you know that if you do have a trial balance, then what you can do is you can import it directly into the XBRL format as well. And the reason why you want to import from a trial balance is that if you don't have the financial statements ready from the accountant, but you have the trial balance for that particular year, then you can use the XBRL file from the prior year, balance that forward, and then import the trial balance information within that current year in the current period. So I hope that makes sense. But it's not very common to use the trial balance, but it is there. All right, so the next thing I want to show you is the validation routine. So we are currently working on the validation APIs directly from ACRA. So what this means is that you can validate your file directly to ACRA, and ACRA will be the one, or BizFin portal will be the one to determine what validation errors there are. Previously with our CAS XBRL tool, we entered in the validations ourselves, and we validate based on our validations. But now to make it more streamlined and make it more accurate, we're using ACRA's direct XBRL APIs to do this. So that currently is in work in progress. So when you click on the validate button, when you go into the XBRL tool, if you've updated it to the latest version, you will see that you'll need to save the XBRL file and use the multi-upload tool to validate. However, the next time when you use XBRL tool from CAS 360, what it'll do is that once you click on validate, it'll take you straight to the screen. My apologies. I'll just go back in here. And here you'll be able to see all the relevant validations for that company and for that XBRL file. You'll see the validation type, and you can see what kind of validation it is. And once you click on the validation, it'll actually take you directly to that screen where the error is. And it'll allow you to update it there, and then you can revalidate again. So this process takes a very short amount of time. So if you compare this to the BizFin tool, the BizFin tool takes about 3 to 10 minutes to validate an XBRL file. However, on our end, it'll take about 15 to 30 seconds at most. As you can see just now, it just took like about 2 seconds because we've already validated. You can click on expand all to see all the validations all in one go. And you can also click on the print report button, which will enable you to print out all the validations, and you can work on it one by one. You may know that you need to be able to resolve all genuine errors before you can proceed to upload it. So you can click on genuine errors and have a look at all the genuine errors that you have on screen. And if you want, you can have a look at only possible errors as well. And with the validation category, you can just click one by one to see what kind of validations there are. So with the new XBRL filing type, which is the simplified XBRL, there are quite a number of data elements that were removed. So this means that validations also have been decreased as well. So the number of exceptions to these genuine errors is mostly unlikely to happen. All right, lastly, I wanted to show you on this screen here is print reports. On this screen here, you can print out an AGM copy. So if you have a full set of financial statements that you've entered in, you can print your own copy of that, or you can print out a copy of the XBRL document summary. This means that it'll print out every single report that you've entered in. So let's just say you didn't enter in anything for the intangible assets, that report will not be printed. And from this screen here, you can determine the order of which report is displayed as well. So let's just say you want the trade and other payables to display right under trade and other receivables. You can just click on it and use the arrows to move it up and down. On the left-hand side of the screen are some of the options or reporting options that you can use. You can include the signature, and this signature will be included in the statement by directors. You can show footnotes, rounding, and hide page numbers if you want to. With the labels, you can use either the taxonomy label, which is the labels that you see on screen, or you can print both labels, so the taxonomy label as well as the label that you've entered in yourself. And this particular document summary can be printed, previewed, and exported to PDF, Word, or Excel. Another thing I wanted to show you as well is settings. So we do have quite a few XBRL setting options that you can apply. So the first one is the decimal rounding. You can use the 1000 separator comma. So if you were to select this option and click on tick, what will happen is if you enter any values over 1000, then it'll enter in a comma for you. So this makes it more easily readable for you. You can dock the import screen. This means that the import screen will be stagnant and stay on the right-hand side of the screen. If not, then it'll open as a separate screen. And you can click on Show Company Label, which is there by default. If you don't want to show the company label, you can just untick this option. And further down here is some of the printing options. So with the footnotes, I forgot to mention, so each field here allows you to enter in a footnote. So in order to enter in a footnote, you just need to right-click on the field and click on Add Edit Footnote. And here you can enter in anything here you would like. And click on Tick. So now that I've entered in a footnote, any values that I enter into that field will display in green. This gives you an indication of which field has footnotes. There is another thing I want to show you in regards to footnotes as well. So let's just say I go into the import routine. I'll just change the statement, the nature of financial statements from consolidated to company, and then I'll do another import. Click on tab, click yes. All right, now I'll go back to the statement of financial position and I have my two columns here. Here I click on import. So I'll go back into the statement of financial position and I'll copy this through. There are some reports that require you to import each line into the same line within XBRL. An example would be for cash and bank balances. There could be cash at hand and there could be another cash and bank balances line as well. So in order to import that in, I will drag and drop one value first, and then I'll drag another one into the same row, and this warning will come up. And it will say, did you want to overwrite the values? Did you want to combine the values or did you want to cancel? In this case, if I want to combine, I just click on combine. And what will happen is that it should add the values together. And the next time when you come in, it'll show you a footnote. In this case, I'm not too sure why it's not happening. Oh, there you go. It has happened there. So you can see here, the label has also been added in. So it shows 2 labels instead of 1, and it's separated by that line there on your keyboard. And also it's added the values together. So now that I exit out of the import tool, you will see that the text has turned green. So when I click on Add Edit Footnote, you'll be able to see that the footnote has been automatically added in to display what are the additional values that make up that total for that field. So you don't need to enter that in manually if you need to. So we've got Dorothy's question about the notes. So all the notes for the slideshows as well as the recording of this webinar will be sent to you and will be sent to all the attendees that we have that has signed up for this webinar. So that's the footnotes for the XBRL. So the last thing that I wanted to show you is the balance forward. So as mentioned previously, if you need to work on this current financial year for a certain company and you've got the prior period's XBRL file, what you can do is you can click on Open and select that financial statement or XBRL file. And all you need to do is click on Balance Forward. What this does is that it will move the current period values to the prior period so you can enter in the current period values in. So here I'll click on Balance Forward, click on Yes, go back to the Statement of Financial Position, and you can see in 2021, under the prior period column, we've got the values there. So now I can just start entering the values for this year. Okay, let's go back to my slides. Oh, I jumped too far. All right, so with XBRL, the one that I've shown you is in relation to CAS Desktop. This particular tool that we have will also be available on CAS 360. Within CAS 360, there will be other options, which is to validate using the APIs that ACRA has provided us, as well as upload directly from the XBRL tool. So this is something that we've been working on for quite some time, and we are very excited to be able to show it to you and be able to give it to you when CAS 360 is ready. So the reason why we're wanting to implement these APIs is to improve the accuracy, as well as give you more time management and give you more time to do other things besides filing XBRL files. So with the XBRL application for CAS 360, this is to be installed for Windows for each user. So each user can download the XBRL app from CAS 360, and this is free of charge for all users that currently have a CAS 360 license. So when CAS 360 is available, XBRL will also be available for you all as well. So very exciting times ahead. We want to make sure that the XBRL process is as simplified as possible for all users, and this is like a goal that we are achieving for CAS 360 as well. All right, so now we're going to the Q&A session. If anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask, please feel free to enter it into the Q&A. As I mentioned previously, we will have the notes and the recording of this session be sent to all of you that have attended today and all of you that have registered. I just wanted to say thank you all for coming, if you don't have any questions, please feel free to stay for another 10 minutes or so. I'll be answering all your questions on hand.